right. So you get over some info on this company, Cast Magic. And, the idea of a company going from 0 to like 6 figures a month in under a year, I got to say, that's pretty intriguing.
Yeah.
It's like a dream come true, right?
It is. It's a very captivating story.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is that it all started from a problem that
Right.
I think a lot of people listening can relate to.
All right.
One of the co-founders, Blaine, was a podcaster, and he was struggling with creating show notes.
So he's living the dream, right?
Yeah.
Podcasting. But then this one little task is just like taking all the joy out of it.
Absolutely. And that's where I think a lot of great business ideas come from, is like personal frustration, where you're just like, there's got to be a better way.
Exactly. Yeah. There's got to be a better way.
And Blaine saw that potential with AI to be able to step in and take over this time-consuming task.
Makes sense, yeah. And I read that he didn't go it alone, right? He had a couple of partners in crime.
That's right. He teamed up with Ramon and Justin.
Okay.
And what's remarkable is they built the first version of Cast Magic in just 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
That's insane.
Yeah, very, very fast turnaround.
They must have had just such a clear vision to be able to move that quickly. What was their secret sauce?
Well, for starters, they chose a very smart tech stack.
Okay.
We have some information about that, and it looks like they went with Elixir and Phoenix and Webflow.
So pretty specific set of tools to go with here. Elixir, Phoenix, Webflow. Was speed the main factor?
Absolutely. Especially when you're bootstrapping.
Okay.
Think about it this way. Elixir and Phoenix are known for building really robust apps very quickly.
Right.
Webflow lets you create a really beautiful user interface without having to get bogged down in the code.
Right.
So that was the main factor.
So it's like picking the right tools for a job. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't use a hammer to, turn a screw.
Exactly. The right tool for the right job.
Exactly.
Now, getting a product built is one thing,
right,
but getting people to use it,
yeah,
that's a whole other challenge.
Of course.
And so this is where their launch strategy comes in.
Okay.
And this is where it gets really clever.
Right.
They decided to partner with AppSumo.
AppSumo, okay, yeah, I've heard of them. They're like a software deals kind of website.
Exactly.
But how did that help Cast Magic get off the ground?
So from a distribution standpoint, this was brilliant.
Okay.
AppSumo has a massive user base of people who are already looking for tools like Cast Magic.
So instead of just like shouting from the rooftops, they went to where the crowd already was smart.
Did
it live up to the hype?
Oh, yeah, it did.
All right.
They actually brought in 10,000 paying users in just a few days.
10,000 users in a few days.
Mm-hmm.
It's like hitting the jackpot.
Yeah.
And generated around $350,000 in revenue.
Yeah, so a massive success.
Wow. But it couldn't have just been AppSumo, right? I mean,
right.
They had to do something to keep that momentum going.
Yeah, so it leads us to another interesting aspect, which is their marketing.
Okay.
So now they had this great launch,
yeah,
but how do they keep that momentum going, especially considering they had limited resources?
Yeah.
Justin was actually the sole marketer at Cast Magic.
So they're riding this high of this successful launch, and now they're tasked with, keep the party going.
Yeah.
And they only have one person doing the marketing.
That's right.
That's a tall order. What did he do?
Well, one of the things that stands out is how he incentivized content creation on social media. So he was encouraging people to try out Cast Magic and then share their experiences.
Right.
And that created a lot of buzz around the product.
So it's like tapping into word of mouth, but in a more structured kind of way.
Yeah, exactly.
Did he just rely on like organic sharing, or did he take it a step further?
He took it a step further.
Okay.
He actually got really strategic about partnerships.
Okay.
And specifically partnered with companies that were in related fields.
So getting the word out, but partnering with the right companies? Not just any podcasting tool would
No, exactly. They were very selective about it.
Okay.
And it paid off.
Right.
Imagine if you're trying to sell ice to Eskimos.
Right.
It's the wrong audience.
Oh, exactly.
But by partnering with companies that had users that already needed show notes, it got in front of the right people.
That's brilliant. Like you're finding that perfect fishing spot.
Yeah.
Where all the fish are biting.
Exactly.
So they got this amazing product. They've got this killer launch strategy. They're nailing the marketing game.
Yep.
What's the next piece of the puzzle?
Well, my next logical question is, how do they have money?
Right.
And this is where their pricing model comes in.
Okay.
They chose to go with a subscription model.
All right.
But with a twist, they added a usage cap.
Usage cap. Interesting. So you pay a fee every month, but there's a limit to how much you can use the platform.
Exactly.
That seems tricky to balance.
It is. Yeah. It's a very fascinating approach because it considers both the customer and the business. So on the one hand, It provides customers with predictability
Right.
and control over their costs.
Right.
They know exactly what they're paying every month.
So I know what I'm getting.
Yeah,
No surprises on the bill at the end of the month.
exactly.
Like that. But how does the usage cap help cast magic?
Well, on the flip side,
Yeah.
it ensures that they can generate sustainable revenue.
Right.
The usage cap prevents people from overusing the platform
Okay.
and driving up Cast Magic's cost.
It's like that all-you-can-eat buffet,
Mhm.
but with like a sensible portion control policy.
Exactly.
So you can enjoy the feast,
Yeah.
but it prevents waste
Mhm.
and makes sure everyone gets a chance to indulge.
It's a great analogy.
Yeah. And this sweet spot seems to be working for them.
It is.
From what you said over, they've already hit $120,000 in monthly recurring revenue.
Mm-hmm.
And they're seeing 20% growth month over month.
That's right.
That's impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. And that consistent growth is a strong indicator of a very healthy business model.
For sure. For sure. And it's also worth noting that they've achieved this while being very disciplined with their spending. They made a conscious decision to never spend more than 20% of their revenue on marketing.
That's a very key principle of sustainable growth.
Wow. So they're not just making money.
Yeah,
They're being responsible with it.
that's right.
That's a refreshing approach, especially in the fast-paced tech world.
Mm-hmm.
But here's a question that's been bugging me. How did they manage to stand out
Mm-hmm.
in a market that's already flooded with AI solutions?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
The AI landscape is incredibly competitive.
Yeah, there's a lot of players out there.
Yeah, new companies are popping up every day.
Yeah.
But Cast Magic has managed to carve out a niche for themselves.
So they're not just another face in the crowd. They're doing something different. What's their secret weapon?
Well, Blaine emphasized their focus on quality as a major differentiator.
Okay.
They weren't interested in just churning out a generic AI product.
Right.
They were very laser focused on solving this one problem exceptionally well.
So they're not trying to be everything to everyone.
Right.
They're mastering one thing and doing it better than anyone else.
Exactly.
Powerful strategy.
It is, and they went beyond just the technology itself.
Okay.
They invested in building a really strong brand
Okay.
and a sense of community.
It's like they're saying, hey, we're not just selling you a product. We're inviting you to join a club.
Yeah.
Did this focus on community play a role in their success?
Absolutely. They understood the importance of customer loyalty and advocacy.
Right.
You know, when people feel connected to a brand,
Yeah.
they're more likely to stick around and recommend it to others.
So they're not just creating customers.
Yeah.
They're creating fans.
Right.
People who are genuinely excited about the product and want to share it with others.
Yeah.
That's powerful stuff.
It is. And we can't forget their commitment to continuous improvement. They're
Okay.
constantly iterating and adapting to new advancements in AI,
Right.
ensuring that their product remains at the forefront of the industry.
They're not resting on their laurels. They're constantly evolving. This actually leads me to another question.
Okay.
What does the future hold for Cast Magic? Are they content with their current success?
Right.
Or are they looking to like conquer new horizons?
Well, based on what Ramon shared, it seems like they have no plans of slowing down.
Right.
They are committed to continuous improvement, and they're excited about adapting to new advancements in AI. In
right.
fact, they even specifically mentioned ChatGPT.
ChatGPT.
Yeah.
That's the AI chatbot everyone's talking about. It seems like they're not just keeping up with trends.
Right.
They're anticipating them.
Yeah, they are definitely forward-thinking.
That's forward thinking.
Yeah.
That it's not just about chasing the latest tech trends, is it?
No.
I mean, they're still driven by that initial desire to solve real problems.
Yeah, you're exactly right. They're also dedicated to solving real workflow problems.
So they're not just tech geeks who are caught up in the hype. They're using technology to make a tangible difference.
Absolutely.
That's refreshing to hear.
It is.
This has been fascinating.
Yeah.
We've covered a lot of ground from Cast Magic's humble beginnings to their, meteoric rise.
Yeah, it's pretty inspiring.
It's really inspiring to see how they've turned a personal frustration
Right.
into a thriving business.
Absolutely. And we've only just scratched the surface.
Yeah.
There's so much more to uncover about their marketing strategies, their pricing model,
Yeah.
and how they've managed to differentiate themselves in such a crowded market.
Sounds like we have a lot more to dive into.
We do.
Let's take a short break and we'll come back to unpack even more insights from the Cast Magic success story. All right, we're back and ready to dive deeper into this Cast Magic story. Before the break, we were talking about how they managed to stand out in this crowded AI world.
Right. And we touched on their focus on quality and building a strong brand.
Mm-hmm.
But there's another layer to their success, I think, that we haven't fully explored yet.
Okay.
And that's their marketing playbook.
Yeah, because it's a one thing to have an amazing product, but it's a whole other ballgame to get it in front of the right people.
Right.
Especially when you're a small team working with a tight budget.
Exactly. And as we mentioned earlier, Justin was the sole marketer at Cast Magic.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really fascinating how he was able to achieve so much with so little.
Yeah.
He didn't try to do everything at once.
Mm-hmm.
He focused on a few key tactics
Okay.
that he knew would make a big impact.
So instead of spreading himself thin, he was laser focused.
Exactly.
I like that approach. What were some of those high-impact tactics he used?
Well, we touched on one of them before the break, incentivized content creation on social media.
Yeah.
So basically, he was encouraging people to try out Cast Magic and share their experiences online.
Yeah, it's like that whole share this post for a chance to win kind of thing.
Yeah.
But instead of winning any random prize, you're actually getting people to use the product
Right.
and talk about it.
Exactly. It leverages the power of word-of-mouth marketing.
Exactly.
People are far more likely to trust recommendations from their peers.
Right. It's like getting a movie recommendation from a friend
Yeah.
versus seeing a flashy trailer.
Exactly.
Yeah, that personal touch makes a big difference. But it's not just about spreading the word, is it? I mean,
Right.
there's another benefit to getting people to share their experiences.
You're spot on by encouraging people to use Cast Magic and share their thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Justin was also gathering invaluable user feedback.
It's like a double whammy. You're getting free marketing and insights to improve a product.
Exactly.
Talk about a win-win.
It is. Now, remember those strategic partnerships we talked about earlier?
Right, the whole don't sell ice to Eskimos.
Yeah.
They partnered with companies that were already serving their target audience.
Mm-hmm.
Did they just reach out to any company in the podcasting or content creation space? Or were that more selective?
They were very strategic about it. They
Okay.
targeted companies that had values that aligned with their own.
Interesting. So it wasn't just about reaching the most people possible.
Right.
It's about reaching the right people.
Exactly.
People who would resonate with Cast Magic's mission and value.
That's exactly right. They wanted to make sure that their message was reaching an audience that would appreciate it and benefit from their product.
Makes a lot of sense. It's like choosing your friends wisely.
Yeah.
You want to surround yourself with people who lift you up
Mm-hmm.
and share your values.
Right.
Now let's shift gears a little bit and talk about their pricing strategy.
Okay.
We briefly mentioned their subscription model with a usage cap, but let's dig a little deeper. What were some of the factors that led them to choose this particular model?
Well, it's a really fascinating model because it balances the needs of both the customer and the business.
Okay.
So on the one hand, it provides customers with predictability and control over their cost.
Okay.
And they know exactly what they're paying each month.
Right, so you're not getting any surprise bills at the end of the month.
Exactly.
Which is always a good thing. You can budget accordingly and you know what to expect. But how does that benefit Cast Magic? I mean, doesn't it limit their potential revenue?
That's where the usage cap comes in.
Okay.
While it provides predictability for the customer, it also ensures that Cast Magic can generate sustainable revenue.
Okay.
The usage cap prevents people from overusing the platform and driving up their costs.
I see. It's like a safety net for both sides.
Yeah.
Customers get a fair price and Cast Magic protects their bottom line. But I imagine finding that sweet spot for the usage cap must have been a challenge.
It was.
Did they just pull a number out of a hat, or was there more to it?
They definitely didn't just guess.
Okay.
From what I've read, they experimented and iterated quite a bit before landing on a model that worked for both them and their users.
So it was a journey of discovery, constantly tweaking and refining until they found that perfect balance.
Yeah, that's right.
Makes sense. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room,
Okay.
competition. As we've mentioned before, the AI market is getting more and more crowded every day.
It is.
New players are popping up all the time.
Yeah.
How has Cast Magic managed to stay ahead of the curve?
That's a great question, and it's something that every successful business has to grapple with.
Right.
One of the things that has helped Cast Magic stand out is their unwavering commitment to quality.
Yeah, we touched on this earlier, but it's worth reiterating.
Right.
They're not just churning out another generic AI product. They're obsessed with solving a specific problem exceptionally well.
Yeah.
It's like they're saying, we're not going to be everything to everyone,
Right.
but for this one thing, we're going to be the absolute best.
That's right.
And that laser focus has definitely paid off.
It has.
They've built a reputation for being the go-to solution for podcasters who are struggling with show notes.
Yeah, it's like if you become a master craftsman in a particular trade,
Right?
you might not be able to build an entire house.
Yeah.
But you can build the most beautiful and sturdy doors anyone has ever seen.
Exactly.
And that expertise is valuable.
It is. And that's just one piece of the puzzle. They've also been incredibly smart about building a strong brand identity.
Right.
And fostering a sense of community around their product.
That's right.
It's not just a transactional, here's the product, now pay us kind of thing.
Exactly.
It's about building connections and creating a sense of belonging.
Yeah, people aren't just using Cast Magic. They're part of Cast Magic.
Exactly. And that sense of community is incredibly powerful.
It is.
It creates loyal customers who are more likely to stick around, provide feedback, and spread the word to others.
Exactly.
So it's like this self-perpetuating cycle of awesomeness.
It is.
Happy customers lead to more happy customers, which leads to even more growth. It's a beautiful thing.
It is. And let's not forget their willingness to embrace new technologies.
Right.
They're not afraid to experiment and adapt as the AI landscape evolves.
They mentioned ChatGPT as a potential game changer, which shows they're not just keeping up with the trends, they're looking ahead and anticipating what's next.
Exactly. And that adaptability is really crucial in a fast-paced field. Like AI, the companies that thrive are the ones that can embrace change and continually innovate.
So they're not just sitting back counting their money.
Nope.
They're constantly pushing forward, exploring new possibilities and staying ahead of the curve.
Exactly.
It's an inspiring approach. But let's be real for a second.
Okay.
No business is without its challenges, right?
That's true.
Even a company as successful as Cast Magic must have some hurdles to overcome.
You're absolutely right. Every business, regardless of its size or success, faces a unique set of challenges. And Cast Magic is no exception.
All right, so let's put on our critical thinking hats for a moment.
Okay.
What are some of the potential challenges that Cast Magic might face in the future?
Well, one of the biggest and most obvious challenges is just the ever-increasing competition in the AI market. I mean, new players are entering the space all the time. Yeah. And some of them have a lot of resources.
Right. So they're not just competitive with other startups anymore.
Right.
They're going up against, like, the big tech giants with deep pockets and vast networks.
Exactly.
That's a whole other ballgame.
It is. And to stay ahead of the pack, Cast Magic is going to have to continue to innovate and differentiate themselves.
So it's a constant race to stay ahead.
That's right.
But it's not just about external competition, right? I mean, they also have to deal with the challenges of maintaining their current growth trajectory. It's one thing to achieve rapid growth early on, but it's another thing to sustain it over the long term.
You're exactly right. As they scale, they're going to have to make sure that their systems and processes can handle that increased demand. They're also going to need to be really mindful of maintaining their company culture as they bring on new team members.
It's easy to lose sight of what made you successful in the first place.
Yeah.
When you're growing so rapidly.
It's like too much of a good thing can be a bad thing.
Right.
You have to be careful not to let success go to your head and to lose sight of the core values that got you there.
But I have a feeling that Cast Magic is aware of these challenges.
I think so too.
And is prepared to tackle them head on.
They've shown that they're adaptable and resilient. So I have no doubt that they'll continue to find ways to thrive in this industry.
All right. So we've talked about their marketing strategies, their pricing model, and even some of the potential challenges they might face in the future.
Yeah.
It's clear that Cast Magic has a lot going for it, but there's still one piece of the puzzle that we haven't fully explored.
And what's that?
Well, we've seen how they've achieved success.
Yeah.
But what can we, the listeners, learn from their journey? How can we apply these principles to our own lives, our own work, our own ventures?
That's a great question, and it's one that we'll delve into after a short break.
All right, sounds good. We're back, and I'm ready to unpack, I think, the biggest takeaway from Cast Magic's journey. It's inspiring to hear about their success, but what lessons can we, the listeners, actually apply to our own lives, our own work?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, right? It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of a story like this, but the real value comes from extracting actionable insights that we can use to, fuel our own endeavors.
It's not just about admiring them from afar. It's about learning from their playbook and applying it to our own goals.
Absolutely.
Where do we even begin?
Well, let's start with one of the most fundamental principles I think that we've seen throughout Cast Magic's story.
Okay.
And that is the power of solving a genuine need.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they didn't set out to build something just because they could.
Right.
They tackled a real problem that they experienced personally.
Right. The whole show notes struggle. It wasn't some abstract concept. This was something they felt firsthand.
Exactly. And I think that authenticity shines through in everything they do.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think the first lesson for all of us is to look around at our own lives, our work, our communities even, and ask, what are the problems that bug us? What are the things we wish were easier or better or just different?
You know, it's funny. We often just get so used to these annoyances that we don't even see them as problems anymore. They just become part of like the background noise of life.
That's true. But think about it. That thing you grumble about every day at work, that task you dread doing. That process that seems unnecessarily complicated. Those are all potential starting points.
Okay, so we've identified a problem worth solving. What's next? Do we just jump in and start building?
Not quite. The next step is to figure out if other people have this problem.
Okay.
And if they're willing to pay for it.
So it's not just about chasing our own passions?
Yeah.
We need to make sure there's a market for it.
Exactly.
People who are not only willing to pay, but excited to pay.
That's right.
For what we're offering. Okay.
And then as you're developing that solution, there's another important principle, I think, to keep in mind, and that is sustainable growth.
Okay.
You know, don't get caught up in the hype of chasing quick wins or vanity metrics. Focus on building a business model that is designed for the long haul.
Right. Cast Magic was so disciplined about their spending. They never went above 20% of revenue on marketing.
Exactly.
They weren't just trying to set the world on fire overnight. They were building something that was solid and lasting.
That's right. And that actually brings us to another point, which is distribution.
Okay.
You can have the best product in the world.
Yeah.
But if you can't get it in front of the right people, it's not really succeed. So think about how you're going to reach your target audience.
Like Cast Magic's partnership with AppSumo.
Exactly.
They did exactly where their ideal customers were hanging out, and they went straight to the source.
They did. It's about being strategic and leveraging existing networks.
Right.
Exploring partnerships, getting creative with your marketing efforts. And remember, it's not just about reaching as many people as possible. It's about reaching the right people.
Quality over quantity.
Exactly.
Now, there's one more thing that really stood out to me about Cast Magic.
Okay.
And that was their focus on building a strong brand in a community. It wasn't just a, here's the product, now pay us kind of thing.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, they understood the power of human connection. They fostered those relationships. They encouraged feedback, and they made their customers feel like they were part of something bigger.
That's like the difference between a faceless corporation and a group of friends.
Yeah.
Who are all bound by this common passion.
Exactly.
And people are much more likely to support and recommend a brand that they feel connected to.
Absolutely.
So as you're building your own venture, don't underestimate the power of a strong brand identity and that sense of community. Now, mix with your customers on a human level, be responsive to their needs, and create a space where they feel valued and appreciated.
That's a great point.
This has been such an insightful conversation.
It has.
We've learned so much from Cast Magic's journey, from identifying a real problem to solve, to building a sustainable business, to fostering a thriving community.
It's been a fascinating deep dive, and I hope our listeners feel empowered to take these lessons and apply them to their own lives and endeavors.
Absolutely. And to wrap things up, I want to leave our listeners with that thought-provoking question you posed earlier.
Okay.
What problem in your life could be the seed of a successful business?
Think about it. What are you passionate about? What frustrates you? What do you wish existed in the world?
Right.
Maybe the answers to those questions hold the key to your next big adventure.
So to all our listeners out there, take a moment to reflect, embrace that entrepreneurial spirit, and remember, success stories like Cast Magic's aren't just flukes.
Yeah.
They're the result of hard work, strategic thinking, and a willingness to take a chance on an idea that could change the world.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll be back next time with another fascinating story, ready to extract more actionable insights and inspire you to make your own magic happen.